Well, I think everyone has this desire to go back and do something differently. I think it's a universal desire. And I have several moments where I wish I could go back and be like, well, if I had kissed this person, how would my life have ended up? If I had actually changed my majors and gone to the right college, how would my life have ended up? Very differently than it is now. Or would it? Am I fated to be where I am now? Would things have moved around in such a way that I would have ended up here? Or would I be unable to do that back then? And so asking those questions of myself, actually, I was with my therapist and I had to ask my question of how would I have ended up, and made the realization that probably not in a good place. So, yeah. And so, yeah, things don't work out the way that you expect. They almost never will work out the way you want them to in the long run. And I guess that's just what got me interested in that particular storyline.
Everybody, welcome back to Living the Next Chapter. It's the Author Podcast. We get to meet great people from around the world, hear their stories, connect with them as readers and as authors. We do both here on the show. I'm excited to have Spencer here on the podcast. Lots of stuff to talk about. Very interesting, too, how he's doing two different things at the same time, blending them together, mixing them all up. I like people who have a lot of different things going on. That's how I like to do things, too. So Spencer's here. He's got a twin brother, which we're going to talk about as well, and a lot of great things to chat about. Spencer, welcome to Living the Next Chapter. Glad to have you on the podcast.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
There you go. I think I basically covered everything except for the furry and scaled creatures who are like to surround you in your home. We haven't covered that yet on your website, but a lot of great stuff to chat about. It's great to have you here. Spencer, tell everybody where you are in this big world of ours.
Well, I'm located in Mishawaka, Indiana. That is just, it's right next to South Bend. Basically, I just say South Bend and people will know what I'm talking about.
Nice. Is that born and raised, or is that relatively new for you?
No. So I was born in California. Ooh. And then when I was 6, I moved out to DC area and I lived there for 20 years. And then I moved to Clemson, South Carolina and lived there for 5 or 6 years. And then I moved here. I've been all over.
It seems like a commonality. I don't know. Like when I talk to my American friends who come on the show, not very many people are born and raised in the same city, state. They seem to move around a lot, like from opposite ends of the country too. Like not just like 10 miles up the road. They're like, no, I'm going to go to the complete other side of the country and try that. So is that something like you guys are like encouraged to do? Because I'm finding it happens quite often with my guests.
I don't think we're encouraged to do it. I think that it's a result of just being so spread out, a job that's available in DC and I can't find one anywhere else. Yeah. I mean, I only moved there because my dad's job, JPL, moved out to the DC area. And then I only moved to South Carolina because my wife was getting her PhD at Clemson. We only moved here because she got a job at Notre Dame.
Okay, so lots of great reasons. But yeah, it just seems like I would travel for work too, and I go down to like Phoenix. And I'm like, hey, you guys from Phoenix? They're like, oh, no. Hardly anybody in this building is from Phoenix. I'm like, well, where are the people who live in Phoenix? Where are they working, right? And I was like, I'm trying to find these people, right? Everybody just seemed to be from somewhere else. I just thought that was quite unique. For me, I live in Ontario, Canada. I've been here my whole life. I've never lived anywhere else. And I'm amazed when I find people like that because you get so many different experiences living in different parts of the country. Although that kind of feeds into you as a human. And whatever creative thing you do, it comes out in your creativity because you've had all these different experiences. So I'm a little jealous is what I'm getting to, Spencer. I'm a little jealous. So there you go. So I'm living through you. I like that. So you have been writing for a while. And what I love, we chatted, you are working on multiple projects at the same time, yet somehow tying them all together. Can you help an author, Spencer, who's listening? Because maybe there's somebody listening and that's kind of where they feel like they're being pulled in multiple different directions, but they still want to write, but they don't know how to make sense of the fact that they have kind of like two different stories going on in their mind at the same time. And they're like, I don't even know where to start. Like, do I write them both at the same time? Do I focus on one and then come to the other one later? Do you have any kind of suggestions for somebody in that situation? Because you're doing something quite similar and you're doing multiple projects seemingly at the same time. How do you approach that as an author if you got too many ideas and you don't know what to do?
I do have too many ideas. I actually have a whiteboard over there where I keep all of my ideas and about how far along in them I am. So that helps. I have like have I done the outline? Have I done the rough draft? Have I had the first draft and things like that? But normally when I'm writing, I will focus on writing one of them, but I keep a single location where I put all of my thoughts and notes. I call it Spencer's brain. And it's just if I have an idea for the other story, I put it in there. And so I know where to find all of the ideas I've had. And I do it this way because a lot of times when I'm writing the other story, I have an inspiration that would change the first one. And if I've already started, then I'm going to have to go back and start rewriting, not the first one, the next one. I would have to go back and start rewriting all the stuff that I had written. So by going through just one at a time, I'm able to keep the continuity a little easier. And also, I have a little bit of a gap with when things get published. So I'm able to go back one book and say, well, I wanted this thing to happen. It's not published yet. I can go back and change the thing that happened in this book so that it's even more continuity. So that helps a lot.
All right, that makes sense. When you first create, like you start writing your first book and you introduce yourself to your character for the first time, they're at a certain stage in their life as a character, age-wise, location, right? So they have a past and they have a future, but you're meeting them in the moment. When you're writing, and that character then for somehow ends up in a different book as well, how do you keep track of how much of the character you know, how much you've already told about the character, what you haven't said about the character? Because if you're writing in multiple things at the same time, you understand the character, but your reader doesn't understand the character the way you do. So you got to make sure that your readers aren't lost. Right? And you start talking about something that happened when they were a child and you've never told that story, but in your mind you have. Readers never read it. How do you remember how much of the story's been told? Do you have like a map of your character that kind of tells you things you haven't talked about, things you have covered? Because as you write multiple books, I'm sure you're going to touch on things that are relevant to the character that need to be known by the reader. So I don't know how this happens. How do you do that?
Well, for some of the characters, it's just all in my head.
Yeah.
And if I have a problem, I have a physical copy of the book that's already published. I can go back and be like, oh, I already did that.
Okay.
But for other characters, I do color coding. Like I'll either put up the beats or I'll put up the road marks or whatever it is that I'm using to organize the story. And then on a separate place, I will have the person's total history. I will take parts of that history and highlight it in one color, and then I will go down to whatever scene I'm looking at, and I will put that color in there so I know this scene needs to have this bit of background information. Once I'm past that scene, then I don't have to look at that color anymore. I can say that one's already in the scene. Let's move on to the next one. And that way I can tell how quickly I will reveal someone's background and make certain that I reveal all the background that I want them to know.
If you could give a percentage of how much, you just pick maybe one character off the top of your head, how much you know about a character when you start writing. Do you know 80% of who they are? Do you know 10% of who they are? Like how much are you discovering about your character during the writing where the character kind of leads you into places you weren't expecting to go? What percentage do you know of your character?
Well, again, it does depend on the character.
Yeah.
I had one character that was a very minor one, so I maybe knew 5% of her story, and now she's turning into a much more major character, so I'm having to come up with more of it. But for like my main character, Scribble, I had most of her figured out. She was not a big surprise. There were other characters, not usually the main characters, but the minor ones, where I'm like maybe 50%, because Rotworm is kind of her foil, and I kind of describe him as a sleazy businessman, as a demon, and so he's always thinking about what is the most benefit to him. Every time I go into a scene and I'm writing a scene, I go to every single character and I put myself in their shoes. So every character is going to act through that scene the way that they would normally act. It usually means it takes me a while sometimes to go through a scene, or I'll have to rewrite it a few times. But when I do that, sometimes a character will be like, "Oh, I didn't think about that," and things start going off on a tangent.
All right.
It's
Are
like
you
a method actor, but I'm a method writer.
a method writer? Okay, that makes sense. When you're writing, do you have character gaps that you have to fill? Or are characters just sort of showing up and you keep adding more people to the story? There's really no gap. You're just like, well, how am I going to work you into the story? Like my story's expanding, my group of characters just keep growing. Or like I said, or is there like a significant gap? And you're like, okay, now I got to create somebody to fill this gap in my story. Does it kind of work both ways?
Usually, I don't have a gap.
Okay.
I usually outline a lot, and
Okay.
so I have most of the plot figured out. I've started to use this goalpost way where I say I need something going into a scene and something coming out of a scene. And it might take me a little bit to get from one of those important scenes to the other. But usually I can find a way for one of the other characters to fill in. Once in a while, I will make a new character. The one that I'm currently writing, just out of nowhere, a cat appeared and has actually become kind of a major part of one of the character's arcs. So yeah, it does happen.
Do you start with the end in mind? Do you have a finish line as you start writing, or are you discovering it as the reader kind of discovers it?
Oh, I pretty much always have an end in mind.
Okay.
Because if I have a lot of twists in my books, and I need to know where I'm going in order to make all of them work. Because if I'm just going with the flow, it's not going to end up anywhere cool. It'll be weird. But I have an end in mind for all the stories so far that I've written. And we'll see if I keep it up that way. Probably will.
Do you have a signature to what you do that you find is kind of unique to how you approach writing? And you know, like we sign a check, we sign a legal document, we go to the bank, we sign our name. Do you have that kind of signature for yourself as an author, like how you end a story, how you craft a story? There's something special about what you try to do in every book?
I actually just had this conversation. It's called stylistic tone.
Okay.
And it's usually something that gets developed after several books are out. I'm right around the stage where I'm starting to develop it. So I'm being very cognizant about how I describe things, what kinds of punctuation I use, but also I suppose that having a very in-depth background world and having a lot of little twists and turns is something that seems to be going in with all of them. The only other thing is I look at the psychological profile of every single character. So I develop that out. So I don't know if that's going to be part of my stylistic tone or if that's just how I write. But
Yeah, because as a reader, I know I read several authors I love, and you're reading along and they put something in your book and you're like, oh, that's such a Spencer thing. You're like, I could tell this is a Spencer book just by reading that one line, right? And that would be your stylistic tone coming through, right?
yeah, that would be. I don't know. I might. I'd have to be thinking about it. It's hard to do it when it's your book because
Yeah.
I'm always having my tone in my head. I can't change that.
That's interesting. Well, musicians would have that. You hear a one chord of a song, and you're like, oh, that's so and so.
That's true.
I can tell with just that one note. You're like, oh, that's definitely them.
Yeah. How
Right?
many times has a song opened with one note and you already know what the song is?
Yeah. Yeah. Every AC/DC song, album
yeah.
is the same song over and over and over again. You're like, oh, here we go. Yeah, one song. That's why they call that band AC/DC. They have 3 chords, A, C, and D. That's all the 3 they have. So, anyways.
I believe it.
There's a joke for you, everybody. Okay. So I like stylistic tone. Actually, Spencer, I've had 700 episodes, and that has never come up in the conversation. So
Really?
well done for you, because I think that's something that a lot of authors should lean into. But I don't, like you said, I don't know if an author, book 1, chapter 1, first sentence has any idea what their stylistic tone is at the beginning. Would you say that's possibly
No,
true?
it's almost impossible to have it at that point because as you write the story, it is helping craft itself. It's almost never the exact thing that I think it's going to end up being because like I said, the characters they come to life and you get inspirations and so things start to change. And so having your tone in there in the beginning, it's just you're dealing with all the other little minutia. You can't really focus on that big kind of thing until later when you're much better at dealing with the little things that you haven't done before.
Yeah.
But I do actually study and research storytelling and writing and all these things. Don't ever watch a movie with me. I may not have ever seen it, but I'll still ruin it for you.
There's a good cautionary warning right there. Okay. All right. Do you think there's any external forces that impact our stylistic tone, like just other authors you've read, your own personal story outside of writing that also feeds its way into your tone?
I would definitely say if you've read something recently, it will affect your tone until you have really got your tone down. Because if I'm reading Terry Pratchett, suddenly I want to just start putting footnotes everywhere. But I'm like, no, that's not what I do. I do, however, experiment a little bit. So far, the 3 books that I have, only 2 published. The third one, it's with a publisher. One of them is in third person. The other 2 are in first person, but one of them is a male, one's a female. And I'm purposely trying to make their voices very distinct. So I'm using different ways of storytelling. So that might be messing up if I have a tone.
All right. Yeah. See, this is all the fascinating stuff. We see a book on a shelf and we're like, that looks interesting. But then to hear the author talk about this from this point of view and how the book came to be and how you approach writing, I think it just gives us a different perspective as a reader too. As we jump in, we're like, now we're starting to look for these things. I'm like, I want to figure out what Spencer's stylistic tone is. As a reader, you're like, I'm looking for this. I'm going to find it. I'm going to let him know.
I decided to write a romance that is a straight up romance. My other novels are all urban fantasy. And I've been told to steer away from romance novels because they have very specific beats that you have to meet at very specific times. But when I actually looked into it, I was like, oh, you mean the hero's journey? I mean, it's just storytelling with a different name.
Yeah.
I didn't understand why everyone steered me away from it. So in this version, I noticed that most, a recent addition to point of view is dual point of view. And it's big in romance novels, especially web novels, where every so often you switch from one character to the other. And I have seen a 3, but it's usually just the 2 points of view. And that is an interesting way to do it because it does let you get into the head of each of those 2 characters, but only one at a time. So I had to see which point of view do I want for this specific scene? How do I get the best impact out of it?
Interesting. Well, it's kind of like in movies, you get the characters and then like this kind of person over top who's kind of seeing it from a different perspective and talking about the characters and what's happening in the scene, but from kind of a higher level. But they're also a character as well. It's almost like they don't really have an influence on what's happening within the story, but you still get their input and they kind of guide you, but they're not actually a character within the story. Yet they are. Right? Yeah. It's like this weird kind of thing going on.
Character is a funny thing because the narrator is a character, and most people don't think of that. The settings can be characters because they go through the same things that characters go through. You can have someone's psychological profile can kind of be its own character because it changes the way that he reacts. And the hero's journey, it's almost never the same character throughout the whole thing. In my second book, I take the hero and kind of the damsel and I swap them near the end. So it's not the hero who's doing the big, amazing thing at the end that saves everyone, but it's...
Wow. I like that. That's like an interesting twist.
So usually in the hero's journey, the hero starts off, things are happening to him. It's a passive thing. Mm-hmm. And then an inciting incident happens and he takes an active role. And in this one, he starts off, he's actually doing active stuff. Something happens and he becomes passive while the other character takes over and becomes active. But I like messing around with how stories are written.
I'm picking up on that just listening to this. I think this is great. And I think that's fun for a reader too, because you by the time you feel like you're into like a routine or a, oh well, this is going to happen next. Here comes Spencer, and Spencer changes up everything. You're like, wait a minute, why is the person being rescued rescuing somebody? What is going on
Yeah.
here? Like
Yeah.
that.
I've been told that my stuff is not really even urban fantasy, it's a hybrid genre thing. But hybrid genres are usually hard to do and they're really hard to sell. I've had a lot of people say, I thought this was a romance novel, but then I got halfway through and it's no longer a romance novel.
Okay, I like this. Now, okay, we talked about at the beginning how you're kind of working on seems like two different projects at the same time, but somehow you are in the process of, or you have been doing this already. You're just blending kind of the stories at the same time as well. So you kind of have two separate worlds. Is this what's going on? But there's some crossover between the worlds. Can you kind of explain what you're doing? This kind of evil genius thing you've got going on here.
So they're in the same universe,
Okay.
and they're two different trilogies. And the first trilogy is A Sinister Love is the first book, and it is about the afterlife, demons and angels and purgatory, and how they interact with humans on Earth. The second one is I've invented this world in between life and the afterlife, where you have all these immortal beings that kind of keep things running. It's a little bit like Sandman, and in that one, it's these people interacting with humans. And so now I realize I have characters that I can move from one to the other. I have a villain that can influence one of them in order to do his big plot in this other one. So that's actually exactly what happened in the third book. You learn who the villain is. And in the fourth book, you get to actually meet him and find out the whole reason the third book even happened is because he wants this certain device that he can use in the fourth book.
Okay. But that same villain we're going to see in the first couple books as well, too, then, some degree?
No, you don't see him at all in the second
Okay.
book, and you only get a hint that he exists in the first book.
Oh, interesting. So you're planting those seeds, they show up later.
Yeah, the main villain of the third book is mentioned once in the first book. And it's because someone asks, "Hey, where's your sister?" And he's like, "Well, she's been put on a different assignment." Well, now you're seeing what that other assignment is in the third book.
Okay, so all right, pause here for a second. When you wrote that line about that other assignment, how much had fleshed out the idea of that character coming back at that moment when you wrote that? Did you know that you were going to have them showing up the way they did in the future at that point, or was that just a seed for yourself to kind of go,
Yeah,
I'm going to come back to this?
that was one of the ones where I had not yet published it, and
Okay.
I had already developed out far enough.
Okay. Interesting.
And now I am at the point where I have to start going through the rest of the next three books. I have to develop all at once in order to make certain that I keep the continuity.
So this is a cautionary tale for anybody who wants to write in series and then having multiple series that interact with each other. You need to be organized, would you say?
Yeah, I have
Spencer?
spreadsheets.
Yeah.
To do it properly, every character has his own story arc. And you need to figure out how those story arcs, the important parts that happen, and if they happen about the same time as another character, can I put those two things into one scene? And go through the whole storyline using just an Excel spreadsheet.
A result of not doing that and not being organized would be similar to painting the floor and getting caught in the corner because you paint yourself
Exactly.
into a corner and now you're stuck there till the floor dries. So
But it can be fun figuring your way out of something like that too.
okay, because you could just write your way out of there, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You could, yeah. But you seem like a very planned and organized person, so I don't think a
Thank
lot
you.
of things really catch you off guard. Did you write yourself into any corners at all where you're like felt a little bit trapped? You're like, now I got to figure my way out of here. Did that happen so far?
Once in a while, I wouldn't say in a corner, but I'll realize I need to get this thing out of a scene, and I have no idea how to get it out of this scene. And it takes me a while to figure out how do I manipulate this scene or this one and the previous one in order to get it on to the next part. But I haven't not yet written myself entirely in a corner.
I'm interested to see how you get out of that if you do, because again, you seem very organized. So I don't think this is going to happen anytime soon, but it could. Well,
Yeah, I could. I'll reserve the Deus Ex Machina for maybe one time.
all right. Okay. You got to let me know when that happens. I'd love to have you back to tell us how you get yourself out of that corner. For the reader, then, the starting point. Where are we starting? I want to make sure that as a reader, everything makes sense as we kind of follow along the journey. Where do you want us to start?
So the first two books are A Sinister Love and
Yep.
Fate and Fortune. And honestly, it doesn't matter which one you read first.
Okay.
I've also written it in such a way that you can only read the Fate and Fortune books and not read any of the Sinister Love books and still get everything out of those. Well, not everything. You'll still get the story. You don't need the other one to get the story. If you read the other one, you'll get more out of the story because you'll understand why things are happening to the other one. But I didn't want to force people to buy both trilogies if they didn't want to.
So if we read one and then we jump to the other one, are we going to be rereading the same components and elements of the other book in the other version as well? Like, do you have to bring in the story so that it makes sense in the other trilogy as well, or are they completely separate?
In this one, it's separate enough that I don't really have to do that very much. I can mention that there is Fate herself, Destiny, in the Sinister Love story, and I don't have to explain that she lives in the between and that she has a sister who's Lady Luck and all of this other stuff.
Okay.
I just have to get you to know that there is a personification of fate, and that is a thing that is going to be important in this story. If you've read both, obviously you'll understand more, but
Okay.
so I haven't really had to do any re-describing things too much.
So it doesn't matter where we start, but if you had a preference for readers, so we could give them some guidance, because again, they're probably going, but I'm glad that I have a choice, but I really want to know, where does the author want me to start? Do you have that suggestion then?
So my first one that I published was A Sinister Love.
Okay.
I would say it depends on what you want as a reader. The second book is really intense. It is a page turner. There's a ticking clock through the whole thing. So if you want to have that up front and then cool down afterwards, of course, it'll heat back up. Then I would do Fate and Fortune first. But otherwise, A Sinister Love goes into Fate and Fortune is just fine. And I mean, that's how I wrote them. So,
All right. And then you've already kind of talked a little bit about the storyline for us as well for both. But can you kind of expand a little bit more for the reader? I really want them to be going, oh my gosh, this is my book. These are my books. This is my author. Right? I want to really bait that hook as much as we can. Can you give us a little bit more around the storyline so we can?
So the first one is about a demon named Scribble. She's an imp who works at a desk job in purgatory, and she gets fired for reading a book. She's a little bookworm because she loves humans, but she only knows them through reading books. Well, when she gets fired, they send her down to Earth to tempt a human, but she only knows them through reading bad romance novels, so she's not very good at it. However, the person she's sent to tempt is a bookstore owner. And so they start to fall in love. I mean, she borrows the body of a succubus so that he can actually see her, and then they start to fall in love. But then she starts asking, wait, what happened to the demon that was supposed to be tempting him? Every human is assigned a demon when they're born. What happened to him? And she starts finding out that there's a conspiracy pointing towards her as the scapegoat. And then all hell breaks loose. And that's halfway through the book. And at that point, it stops going from like a romance into a kind of adventure, romp through the afterlife. The second book is about a guy who makes a deal with Lady Luck and her sister Destiny when he was a kid to change his fate and reverse his fortune because he had an absolutely terrible childhood. And everything seems to be going fine until later he finds out he has a soulmate, his best friend, and since their fates are tied together, she is also messed up. So she's going to end up with an absolute monster. And so he goes to them and asks, how can I fix this? Can I undo it? And they say they'll let him go back and relive parts of his life to fix things, but every second he spends in the past, he loses one in the future.
Oh,
That's the thing. Every time I tell that one, at that point, everyone goes, "Oh."
interesting.
And so in this world, you have hourglass. Everyone has an hourglass. That is your life, how much time you have left. And so that's actually a major part because you can see how much time is left, and it's a physical thing. So time can be added or removed.
Okay, where did the spark for that come from? Because again, that's quite unique. I haven't ever really heard anybody talk about that.
That some of it came from Terry Pratchett. Death, I believe, has little hourglasses. But that was just an inspiration because this one, time, has the hourglasses. I also do a lot of research. So traditionally, time is the one who carries around a scythe, not death, because time is the one who cuts your time short. But then I realized if I'm going to have time and death, I'm going to have to somehow separate their jobs. And so I realized I need time says how much time you are given. Death can cut that time short at any point. And if you are cut short, you end up in limbo or you work for them in the between until your time runs out. And suddenly I have this world of people populating the between who become part of the story. And yeah. So
Okay,
in short, it was mostly me, but it was inspired by Terry Pratchett.
why is this such a fascinating topic for you to write about? Like, there's got to be something, if I dig a little deeper here into Spencer, where there was a moment, maybe growing up or something, where this captured your attention. Like, you could write about anything, but why specifically this? Why has this captured you the way it has?
Well, I think everyone has this desire to go back and do something differently. I think it's a universal desire. And I have several moments where I wish I could go back and be like, well, if I had kissed this person, how would my life have ended up? If I had actually changed my majors and gone to the right college, how would my life have ended up? Very differently than it is now. Or would it? Am I fated to be where I am now? Would things have moved around in such a way that I would have ended up here? Or would I be unable to do that back then? And so asking those questions of myself, actually, I was with my therapist and I had to ask my question of how would I have ended up and made the realization that probably not in a good place.
Interesting.
So, yeah. And so, yeah, things don't work out the way that you expect. They almost never will work out the way you want them to in the long run. And I guess that's just what got me interested in that particular storyline.
I guess as a reader too, like, we're making life altering decisions every day and we don't even realize it. You turn
Yeah.
left, you turn right. You take the
Yeah.
job, you don't take the job. You marry the person, you separate from the person. You have a child, you don't have a child.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, all these things are like moments in time that redirect your course. And in the moment, I think sometimes we don't even realize how important this decision actually is. We're just like reacting. We're like, yeah, I'll go this way. But it's like, had you gone that way and not the way you picked, you would have ended up meeting Spencer, right? Like there's a whole thing. Our whole life has got these milestone moments, I think, that happen.
yeah.
We pass
And
right by them.
yeah, in that book, the main character is nervous. He doesn't want to let the girl that he likes know that he likes her because they're best friends. And he's worried that if she doesn't like me back, I'm going to ruin the friendship. And that friendship is really all he's got going for him. So when they're about to kiss and he doesn't do it and they go their separate ways, that night she's at a party and meets the person that she ends up with. So that one tiny little moment where he didn't kiss her messes up the next 4 years of his life and changes everything.
There's probably like a lot of people listening to this right now. Spencer going, yeah, yep, I know what that feels like. Yeah.
It also was interesting to see how he came to that point because as he starts 4 years in the future, he's trying to stop the wedding. He says, well, I'm just going to have to go back a day. No, obviously not. Dramatic irony. but then he keeps trying to figure out what are the important points where I might have actually changed things and how do I change them from those points. And so you see him go to these very important points and see how it does or does not work.
I'm still hung up on the go back in time, lose some time
Yeah, so
thing that could happen. That still bothers me, Spencer. I'm still processing this.
the way I see it is if you could just continually go back in time and fix things, what's to stop you from living forever?
Right.
But if you have your own hourglass that is constantly running, then if you go back a year, your hourglass is still running. You didn't gain a year. So now you're going to die a year sooner than you would have. You're still living out that much time in your lifespan,
True.
but what happens in the real world will have been cut short for you.
That would have changed the whole Back to the Future movie for sure if that was real.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Wow, there's like so many implications for this. I think this is great. I love when authors do these things that make people think too. Like books are meant to entertain us, keep us company, expand our world, but when they make you think too, and you put them down and go, hang on, what would I do? How would I fit into this story? I think that's unique. So
I very much like making people think. I also, at a certain point in the story, you start to realize that what you thought is happening can't be happening. And so you realize there's a mystery going on. And now you start thinking about everything you've seen in the back, in the first half. And I really like having those moments where you have to stop and think.
Okay, so Spencer, if we flip back into your book and reread a section, do we lose time in our future life from because we had to go back and go, wait, I think I missed something.
Possibly.
Oh, no. Everyone, be very careful when you read Spencer's book. You might time travel. Yeah, I don't want anybody to lose time from the future. So you still got me stuck on this, Spencer. I don't know what to do with this.
We'll read the book.
I love it. No, it's good. You're making me, this is great. I love it. So, okay. So there's a lot for us of people to read. The other thing I noticed on your Amazon page, I see the 2 books, but I also see you have like an Amazon book there as well, the Sinister Saga, and it's a Kindle edition. Is that something in addition to what we're talking about?
So that is the name of the trilogy, A Sinister Love. The second one going to be A Sinister Hope, and then A Sinister Faith.
Okay.
So Faith, Hope, and Love.
Oh, okay. Makes sense. Okay.
And so we called that one A Sinister Saga. The other one we're calling the Kin Chronicles. So all those Sandman-like characters call themselves kin. And so this is going to be about them. And together, it's the immortal epic because both the kin and angels and demons are all immortal.
And the cover of Fate and Fortune makes even more sense now. I like that. Yeah. Okay. There's a lot going on here, Spencer. You got a lot going on. I like this.
I really love my artist.
Yeah. Tell me more about your artist.
Well, I found her on Upworks, which is a website for just freelancing and finding jobs. And it was because the guy that I had first tried to hire backed out at the very last second. So I had to go back through and look at everyone else's work. And I saw hers and went, I think that would work really well. So I asked her to do it. And the very first thing she did was not just give me a sketch of my idea, but give me 4 other sketches of ideas that she had after I explained the book. And one of them was so good that I made it an alternate cover, and it's the picture on the back of the book.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And the alternate cover, you switch which one's on the back, which one's on the front. I came up with an idea for this third one, which is going to be called A Date with Destiny. And it's supposed to be this demon with fiery hair walking towards the reader. But she came up with this one idea, and I was just like, oh, no. That one. Mine sucks. Do that one.
That's amazing. That's really great.
Yeah. There are little details. Like, if you look very closely at the wings of the character on the cover for A Sinister Love, you'll see writing on them. Those are book pages.
Really? Okay, yeah. I'm looking at it right now. Okay. Yeah, everyone, you got to go check it out on wherever you got the links we have for you. You got to go check it out because you could see it. Wow, like that's detail beyond detail. Yeah.
And it makes sense. I put so many freaking details in my books, so it makes sense that you're going to have them on my cover.
All right. So if as you listen to this and you're like, well, I wasn't sure if Spencer was my author or not. By the time you've got to this point, you're like, definitely, this is my author, because there's so many levels to what Spencer's doing here. It's exciting for a reader. I think there's a lot in here, and a lot to look forward to as well. Spencer, let's talk a little bit for the person listening to follow your journey. You got a great website as well. Let's send them there. And I got a question to wrap up here, but kind of your message to the reader and your website. Talk a little bit about that, please.
My website, I'm going to be keeping up with everything that I'm working on. I have a newsletter. I'm very bad at updating my newsletter, but I do have one. And when I come out with a new project, it's going to be posted up on my Facebook. Oh, not my Facebook. I do have a Facebook as well, but I'll definitely put it on my website. And I'm going to be putting up when I'm in a location selling at a convention, if that's going to be up on my website as well. I do have a little, just a blurb about each of the books, but I also have a sample. So you have 2 short stories that you can read. And one of them is a serious kind of horror thriller story. The other one is a very not serious comedy called 3 in the Morning. And so go to the website, check them out, see if you like them. I am sometimes published in other places. I have a literary magazine in this area called Panoply. It's PAN-O-PLY. And I have a little story in there called Beep. And it's about an evil smoke detector. I have a horror coming out. Yeah. There's an anthology that's going to be called Teeth. And my story in there is called Trophy. And it's going to be the one in Halloween that comes out. And I am working on, I think Royal Road is going to be the website where I will put my web novels. I have 2 ideas. One of them I'm most of the way through. And the second one, I've fleshed it out, but I haven't actually started writing it.
There's a lot here for everybody. I love it. So with my last question as we head out the door, Spencer, first of all, I want you to come back. Like with so many things going on, come back, get us up to date on the next thing. That's again why we call it Living the Next Chapter, because you're writing right now. So come back. We love to connect with you again. Please. That'd be great. On your website, though, too, if you want to see Spencer with a very fine hat, definitely go over to the website.
I do collect hats.
You collect hats. Okay. Yes. So is that on your website your favorite hat, or is that one of your favorite hats?
I think that was my favorite hat. It's my bowler hat that I got when I was in England.
Very nice. Very nice. So what's hat number 2 out of your collection that you love the most? And will we ever see that? Oh, a top hat.
Yeah.
Okay. Like an official, like a real top hat?
Yeah, like a real top hat.
Ooh. Does it spring out like a magician does? Whoosh, and there's a
No, it's not
inside?
One of those. That's pretty cool. No, okay. It's a costume company that makes realistic replicas of things. Okay. Because, I mean, if you look at any history period piece, they all have top hats. So someone's got to be making them.
Well, yeah. And Frosty the Snowman had one, and then any magician has one. So, yeah, it's like a must-have, I would think.
Yeah. Yeah.
Is it magical at all, Spencer? Can you let us in? Is it a magical hat?
I'll have to try that next time it snows around here.
Well, you do have animals kicking around. They might be hiding in it right now. So there you go. I love it. Okay, Spencer, this is great. Thank you for being on the show. Yeah.
As a twin, just real quick, I have a thing I'm going to start putting up on my website. #TwinFashions.
Twinfashions.
They're little funny things. Just one little quote about what it's like being a twin. One of them is, "Twin fashion, I have a full set of spare parts."
I like that. Okay. And David is a very creative person as well. Can we shout out your brother? Because I was on his website and oh my gosh.
Yes. Wow. My brother, David Hixon, he has a Hixon Art and he does computer animation, 3D animation. And he's worked for Floyd County, for Nat Geographic, and a lot of other places. And we are trying to work together on a couple of projects. So those will also hopefully get on the website.
Amazing. Yeah, I was checking out his website, linked through your website as well. And wow, you two together, you are a force to reckon with, the two of you. That's amazing.
Thank you. We have ADHD, and so it helps us be more creative.
I love it. Awesome. Okay, Spencer, thank you so much for doing this and being on the show. As you listen, everyone, please go and leave Spencer your reviews. Let Spencer know what you think of the book as you purchase these books, not if, but when. And as you listen to this, you know somebody else who also love the multiple layers that are going on here as a reader. And you're like, oh, I know my friend's going to love this. So share the podcast episode, share the link to Spencer's website. And if anything, just go buy a second copy. Send it to them. Like, just skip the line, right? Just buy two. Spencer's okay with that. But leave a review when you purchase so that more people will fall in love with Spencer, his stories, and we can support our authors. Spencer, again, thank you so much for being here. You got to come back. I'm holding the door for you. And you need to wear a really funky hat the next time, which would be great.
Yeah, I'll try that. See if I can get it over my headphones.
Excellent. Thank you, Spencer, so much. Everybody, please go and do what we said. Leave a great review. Go check them out. And again, Spencer, thank you so much for being part of the show.
And thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for listening to the podcast. Glad to have you here. I just want to let you know that you can always find out what we're doing live in the moment by going to our YouTube channel. Head over to livingthenextchapter.com. There'll be a link right there. Head over to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like, subscribe, do all the things that all the YouTubers love to say. And in our YouTube channel, a couple things. You're going to get advanced listens. You're going to get the episodes that we're working on in real time. So we record and post daily on our YouTube channel. I'd love for you to give us a follow over there. As well, we're making playlists. We have over 500 episodes. So finding the right episode for you, we're trying to group things into playlists. So if you like children's books, if you like business, you like historical fiction, we're grouping our authors together to make it a little easier for you to find your favorite next author. So head over to livingthenextchapter.com. And again, I'd love to hear from you. Hearing from the listeners of the show is great. And I just want to say thank you for being a part of the podcast family. And I look forward to having you back for the next episode. Thank you for being here. I really appreciate your time and your listen. Take care.